first thing, I think yesterday someone asked me about vitamin B12 deficiency and what can be done about that vitamin D deficiency, vitamin B12 deficiency. So, is there any other way rather than taking supplements? Is a frequently asked question, not just here but quite a lot. So, since the topic came up in the morning about scientific myths existing in the general public, where people believe something firmly, strongly, yet the truth of it is shaky. One of such scientific myths which exists today is that vitamin B12 is present only when you have non-vegetarian, the only sources are non-vegetarian sources. So this is a myth. So I'm directly telling you it's not true. Yes, we don't get it through plant sources, but we can produce it within our gut, sufficient quantity, if we have a good bacterial flora in our gut. So there are a lot of good bacteria which we have a symbiotic relationship with in our body. Out of that, lactobacillus is one of them. That's not the only one, but a major colony is lactobacilli. So such good bacteria in our gut, when we maintain a good flora, they can produce enough amount of vitamin B12 which we require. So as I said, lot of people think that it is available only in animal sources, and yet though most of the population today is a non-vegetarian population, when we speak about the whole world, when we compare the numbers, most people are non-vegetarians, yet the vitamin B12 deficiency is prevalent all over. So if non-vegetarian sources were a good source of vitamin B12, then the deficiency should not have existed. So as we discussed, the capacity for us to absorb these vitamins has reduced. One of the reasons being plastic. Another reason being gluten, which is present in wheat, is also very similar, acting like plastic. It forms a layer in the intestine and prevents active absorption of nutrients. So in order to get a good level of vitamin B12 for ourselves, the first thing we need to do is maintain a good bacterial flora, and for this what would help is having fermented foods. One is curd, of course, buttermilk and curd, which we are all aware of. Other fermented foods like idli, dosa batter, we ferment it before we consume it. Another very important fermented food which we suggest is the ganji, which we were referring to, made from the millets. So soak the millet well. So I think all of you already realize the difference between cooking millets after soaking it well, which was today's lunch, and not soaking, in breakfast without soaking it well. So the difference was already so evident. So I think it was a unfortunate event, yet it was an eye opener for everyone. We usually have the tendency, chalo, half an hour is enough or 1 hour is enough, but now you have seen the differences. So there is so much difference. It's a eye opener for all of us, and it's a warning also, I can say, that we need to soak it well. So first soak the millet well, and then boil it, cook it well, and then we suggest it to be kept in a mud pot. Mud pot, why? Because it has pores, and so there is good amount of aeration which will happen, which will help for the fermentation of good bacteria to happen more easily. Tie it with a cotton cloth and keep it as such for 6 hours to 8 hours, and then consume it. In that you will have good probiotic bacterial growth, and you will be improving the flora in the gut. So this is another method of getting good bacteria. So in that, many people make a mistake of mixing curd and then keeping it for 6 hours or 8 hours and then consuming it. But then if you add curd initially itself, you will have more of only lactobacillus, which will compete and not allow other good bacteria to grow. So you have to add, if you want to add curd to consume it, add it just before taking it and not before 6 hours or 8 hours which you are keeping. No. No, that will also make only lactobacilli grow. So we don't, as I said, everything is about variety here and diversity. So we need a diverse bacterial flora as well, not just lactobacilli. So it is best to add it in the end if you want to add it to consume it. Okay. So people having very severe disease, like probably who are in a state of dialysis, or people having cancer, for such patients we suggest them to be only on this ambli or ganji diet for at least 3 weeks, so that the intensity of the disease reduces very quickly. This is what we suggest. Others also we suggest at least weekly once have this kind of food to order in order to maintain a good bacterial flora. And also another important aspect to get a good, to create the environment required for the bacteria to grow well in your intestine, we require the fibrous food which comes from the green leafy vegetables, which comes from eating diverse fruits, which comes from eating diverse vegetables. So when we do all this, we will be assured to have a good vitamin B12 level in our body.